Folks, this is Red Brick Bob here. I'm gonna have AI read this for us here. Microsoft 365. This is Mr. Meltology. Okay, this is Desmond. So here we go.
Description: the devastating reality. Meltology. Meltology 2020. Old description. The devastating reality. The new modern world is quite new and a direct result of the old world paradise's annihilation. It's almost as if this realm is the center of creation and is like a holographic simulation, highly advanced beyond our comprehension, with glorious detail down to the quantum field itself, where it is the center origin from which all things come. We call it Earth, like ether. In the previous yet very recent past, there were highly complex, magnificent civilizations with very detailed fractal architecture that covered the entire realm of existence. These glorified buildings were built as if they were in fact technology and self-sufficient to meet the needs of the people that lived in them, providing for them so well that it was abundance and heaven on earth beyond imagination and non-duality. It wasn't as so well constructed that it is as if these buildings were like computer grid components on a motherboard, but highly advanced compared to now. Modern technology is a generic replication of what the old world had and beyond. Maybe that is why it's called Mother Earth, like a motherboard. A paradise with an inevitable peak in destruction to rebuild and to be reborn time and time again. Hard evidence from all around the world shows these buildings were in fact short-circuited from the bottom up, leaving very little pockets of survival at the tops of these buildings and the bottom of the ocean. The tops of these great cities are what we call continents because we are very high in the air above sea level. The evidence is so overwhelming it can cause psychosis, and it is not for everyone to understand, but the truth of the matter is it did happen, and we must know this to grow from it and start over again so we can ascend out of this newer dense 3D reality into that higher frequency of creation. This world is now a wasteland, and a new creation remains after, and it seems this matrix was rewritten after the destruction to make way for what we call nature, today, remodeled for our species in this newer world with the same consciousness from before, a reset if you will. The new world order is the current world we live in today and has everything to do with the great fall of the old world order. The evidence of the new term meltology can debunk so many dogmas and complete fiction taught to the people for over a century. We are a small group of about 10,000 people now since its public rediscovery by Jerry DeCamp during this Great Awakening in 2020, during a time of heavy revelation, and we have been and are still continuing to discover and rediscover our true nature and our true reality and the very purpose of our existence. When the Buildings Cried was a very historical event and the most important event from which you can learn the entire history and beyond, and the powers that be, that took over this world after the fall of the last world we live in now, heaven will keep doing everything to keep the public from knowing and figuring out this very truth alone. This X-Factor event is the single-handedly deepest revelation one can come across because once studied and revealed entirely to oneself, it can reveal everything else kept secret in this new world of deception. Temperature dictates the matter. Meltology Description 2.2023 Updated 2024. Temperature dictates the state of matter. Did you know lightning can reshape matter on an atomic level? Then so can the electricity from below on the old world circuit board grid. That is exactly how most, if not all, minerals were created after the meltdown. Electrification to the brick buildings was then immediately cooled down by the default response of the irrigation systems in these high-tech architectural buildings. Atomic shapes from the different temperatures vibrating through the brick and/or metal cause it to freeze in time with heat and water, and the result can be petrified new states of matter such as the crystals that formed after the event. The temperatures were different, and different frequencies mean different shapes and new forms of matter. A new world is born. Meltology is a new way to see the world and is the only way to see it when you have the eyes to see it. It will change the world as we know it and is spreading like a fire in this great awakening of revelation. Like a fire, the old world paradise was on fire and melted like ice cream. Imagine a computer motherboard and the grid components short-circuited because they were drawing in too much electricity from the source, and since they are all connected, it is in fact what happened, but much, much more advanced, a computer on steroids like the future world many years from now when you think about it. The old world has yet to be built. We live in a paradox because of the meltdown, or X factor, event of the last world, which possibly created the duality we have now in the new world. Research for yourself and explore the actual depth of how deep this goes. It is connected to everything we know. The old world buildings resonated to a specific frequency and were able to give off unlimited electricity. This frequency is believed to have melted these structures due to them drawing in too much at once, causing a worldwide meltdown. Like a motherboard in a computer, the components draw in electricity and melt if they overheat or overload altogether, but there is always survival, and this supports the evidence for pockets of survival, parts of buildings that are either somewhat heat damaged or severely so. The intense electrification from the bottom to the top melted in such an extreme way that the lava leveled out, causing smooth surfaces for many miles across the plain, and we think it is the original ground. The original ground is the sea floor. We are on the ruins of a once worldwide advanced civilization that was here, and we remain above the floodwaters high in the air. We call the ground we stand on continents or islands. Advanced reality, all is spirit computer, we live in a duality as a result of the event. A malfunctioning hologram. It rewrote itself for the new world. But it's all by design. We are here because we wanted to be, because we are eternal in that old world. The spirit is beyond time, and for all we know, we could be there right now under some tech, having this lovely duality suffering experience for fun and for the opposite polarity experience since we are a non-duality multidimensional entity. This goes so deep. You have to understand this is not a 3D physical world. It's a computer, and you in this place are one and the same. The deeper the advancement in one's awakening shows the disturbing truth. Both worlds exist and cannot exist without one another. The great paradox. The first world was manifested for all we know instantly, or we have yet to create that world in our future past as we will inevitably evolve and become highly advanced beyond comprehension and build that world with machines and 3D print geometrical structures across the entire Earth plane motherboard grid, it will become and is. This goes very deep and is not meant for everyone to know. This is by far the greatest secret next to the fact that we create reality, and all of this exists in the mind computer that has yet to be created. Who created this place? The answer may be quite complicated for those who might not be far in their awakening, but a short answer is the same way we will recreate that world in our future past from the dirt. Over and over again, but the origin. We live in a paradox. It is a computer, and that creation of the biological quantum computer is the starting point. We don't know how but when. This is a realm where all is right here in the center. Inside this realm, there is nothing outside. The outside is the inside. It is a massive toroid, yet a quantum toroid projected from your own mind. You and this place are one. You are the creator and the observer. Time is an illusion. In fact, beyond the supposed physical state, energy exists beyond our limited perspective. This body-filtered experience, it is eternal. This is all the mind. Both worlds, that non-duality and this duality world, cannot exist without one another. Here duality, we will create that world in our future, illusion of time, and their non-duality, we create this world since this world is that world but melted, overloaded, and reborn. So, I believe it was a 6,000-year reign at the peak of advancement before, inevitably, the grid overloaded. Fast forward 200 years, and bam, here we are today. Post-event, the devolution of man and the earth until we do it again to rebuild the PC. That's why I always say Meltology debunks all New World dogma, all of it. Religions, history, our true origin, all of it. The stuff they teach in our modern world lasts 120 years, everything is New Age, literally. We must learn who we are again and look within, which is also ancient esoteric wisdom, old age. If Meltology doesn't lead people to the core truths, then they are not researching it right and not critically thinking hard enough. The answers are in plain sight. All is mind. The rewritten history calls it the Great Fire, but this could be an accurate timeline for when we shifted into this world, from non-duality to a duality world due to the meltdown of the original world and its end for this new beginning, a complete reset. My logical guess is that this event happened around the late 1700s, that's when the NWO began. The history they teach today, NWO, starts around then, and it's all faked. The year became 1800 when the year back then was around 5900, the time around the event. The Masonic year is 6020 or 7020 today. 2024. The creation and inevitable destruction of the advanced motherboard suggests that the inevitable creation and destruction in this finite realm, an architectural grid system and an era of immortality, will be built once again in the near future and will reign for thousands of years until overpopulation and the inevitable etheric overload on this plane. But it cannot happen again until we rebuild the grid components, thus debunking the 138 and 80-year cycles by the controlled opposition, paid to do damage control and provide half-truths. Meltology is key to finding out the whole picture of the history they desperately tried to hide from us since the event itself. The ludicrous theories pushed by the shills, with no physical evidence, petrified biology, ancient mining terraforming, dogma biblical nonsense, giant stumps, 80 and 138-year resets, and plasma events from the sky. So, leave the psyops behind and advance in knowledge. We are in a period of discovery like the world has never seen before. The study of #Meltology and #The Old World Paradise will debunk all psyops from both sides of the media narratives and the lies coming out of the truther community by big uncensored accounts, shills and disinformation agents, and will leave you speechless with truth. Remember that channels selling that truth are frauds. Run the other way. #Meltology has and will continue to debunk all such nonsense. It's a computer, it's overloaded. An inevitable event when you reach the peak of advancement. This is a realm, a spiritual plane of experience. All is energy and we are the data. Simple, all from the enemies of lies and half-truths. Those who are truly open-minded and are coming to the same conclusions are true to themselves, whether they know or don't know. A belief should not hold you back. Keep going in research and always advance. For the deniers, watch the documentary below, then go start at your local rivers and parks. Then go check out the remaining old architecture and, most importantly, observe all of it. Actually, try to debunk Meltology, and you will see the melt is abundant. You will undeniably see why it has been hidden and why history was faked. This is unfathomable. Truth isn't always pleasant, and those who have been doing this for a long time know firsthand that the real truth is actually disturbing and isn't for the weak-minded. Melted matrix equals Meltrix. Meltology is the greatest discovery that shows us our true past history of a realm that is melted like a motherboard. Meltology and the Old World Paradise represent alternative history from like-minded, independent, intelligent minds across the melted realm Meltrix who have advanced in knowledge in every aspect and many fields, coming to the same conclusions with an awakening to the hard and disturbing truths of this place called Mother Earth, Motherboard Duality, Heart, Space Matrix. It brings one to know thyself in the deepest parts imaginable beyond all propaganda and deceptions from the inverted truth, and information from both MSM and the alternative MSM known as the Truther Movement, which is always being controlled, especially by the opposition of paid shills, by the same very liars who conditioned the masses from the start of birth to manipulate and prolong the inevitable return to that oneness. Do not be led astray by ludicrous and fictional theories, but see the hard facts and truth in plain sight that we live on a melted motherboard as data, the observer and creator, in a newer recoded version of the original paradise grid system that reigned from the beginning for an eon until its inevitable self-destruction, leaving us in this post-apocalyptic, brick wasteland. The survivors, Indians, and super royalty elite took over after the Cataclysm X Factor event to create this new inverted way of life we live in now in the modern world. which is a short, reset era, because we devolved after that event but will inevitably ascend back into a higher state of being and become one again in a century or so. Thus, this cycle of creation and destruction is the very experience we incarnate and exist for on an atomic spiritual level. You are the center of it all. This is your playground, both worlds at will. This is your game, and the world we think we live in now is merely a simulation, illusion of the original light form realm we come from to experience the meltdown version. Yes, you are merely playing your role in the script you designed. Meltology is the biggest key and part of the puzzle for solving the very answers we seek. Welcome to your Meltrix. The Stumpers may never get it. They are so caught up in their belief that they won't admit their favorite channels that they idolize are wrong and, even worse, are controlled opposition that even charges them for the false truth. Core truth is free in every aspect. The Meltologist was a stumper at some point in their journey but evolved and advanced in research, coming around to things they thought they knew before, just to find them to be another half-truth and deception. Unlearning and relearning is a high form of intelligence. Meltology is advanced research above all the fiction from MSM and theories from the gatekeeper-controlled opposition puppets. A mile-high tree. A Meltologist. Temperature dictates the matter. As we have stated many times, Meltology debunks the stump-controlled opposition fiction and columnar joints from the geology Smithsonian lying frauds. Buildings. The supposed stump, Devil's Tower sits on a hill. It was a high tower to a much larger melted structure below. Devil's Liar Tower building. Most cannot handle the truth and let their belief systems control them before rethinking. Despite new evidence showing the controlled opposition's true colors, they are paid liars. Critical thinking minds coming from all over are coming to the same conclusions on the Meltology subject because the evidence is there, unlike the controlled opposition and the damage control being fed to the diet woke because they know you won't think for yourself and believe every video put out by the big paid shill channels. Like I stated in the post deleted by Facebook, controlled opposition runs deep. They control both sides. They control your mind. Meltology is so important because it is the biggest piece to the Tartarian and reset theories and goes all the way in, while those only scratch the surface of what is a much bigger truth. Go see for yourself. These supposed mountains are architectural ruins, all of them. All hills and ground below our feet were once brick superstructures of many designs, especially castles, temples, cathedrals, and pyramids, and there are few pockets of survival that didn't completely perish in the grid overload meltdown, showing prime evidence of this civilization that once covered the entire face of the earth. Wake up, Neo. Stump and Titan Psyop. The idea of giant trees is very illogical. The very thought isn't even considered a theory because it lacks prime core evidence, but groups are stuck believing this to be true. With it looking like stumps, the eye can be deceived, and this is the case. Every single site that looks like a supposed stump has many melted bricks turned to stone and architectural patterns that still show a glimpse of it being a building. Not to mention the pockets of survival at these sites' ancient ruins. Trees could only get so big, and the biggest today are only up to 300 years old, showing undeniable proof that the event was just before that, and the trees grew after the event. They even grow and thrive on all these supposed ancient buildings, but the trees will tell you when this cataclysm really occurred. The amount of water these supposed giant stumps would have needed is impossible, and there is no proof of them being cut. The supposed branches from an aerial view are true, but of something much greater, and that is electrical scarring from the electrical event. They are not branches. There's zero evidence, unlike the Meltology evidence, which has abundant prime evidence from every place in the realm and is growing rapidly. People pointed in the right direction from real truthers who did not sell out for money, views, or likes but have a deep compassion for the truth, looking outside of the box, doing the research themselves, and coming to the same conclusions because it is all around us, this world that was once here. Devil's Tower, for example, the diet woke believe it is a stump when the name tower is in the name, told by the Smithsonian frauds, the same liars who made up geology's narratives on all site ruins. The tower sits on a hill. It was a high tower on a much larger structure that melted below. Simple. Titan fiction. Now, there is plenty of evidence supporting giants as big as 36 feet, and in the old world, there were superstructures such as the supposed mountains that housed all shapes and sizes of humans. However, the supposed Titan theory is ludicrous, mile high, Humans have zero evidence to back it. How did these titans live? The amount of water and food they would have to consume, not to mention the housing, would have to be 10 to 20 times bigger than they actually are, and yet, not even something that big would have fit inside what we call superstructures and even what we refer to as mountains today. I could go on, but the deniers will always deny new evidence. They cling to their idols in the mainstream fake truther movement and deceive themselves the same way the other side does to the sheep. To find the truth of our true reality, it comes down to critical thinking and sufficient evidence that you can verify yourself. We are not here to spoon-feed the diet woke or sheeple. You can figure anything out if you put your mind to it. We are done with propaganda, theories, and belief systems. This great discovery debunks all of it, and this is the very reason why they lied to us in the first place. It is disturbing that there was once a red brick one-world civilization set up as a motherboard that overloaded at the peak of their advancement after reigning for thousands of years since the beginning of its creation. Once you start seeing it as a computer, all the questions are answered. Who am I? My name is Desmond Anthony and I have been a Meltologist since nearly the beginning of the disclosure of Meltology. In 2020, the documentary came out, and if it were not for me randomly meeting Jerry, the man who disclosed this great discovery to the public in a line at a dispensary during the illusory lockdown at the time, turned around to a random man and wanted to vent about the ludicrous events going on, and we resonated immediately and also had over 200 mutual friends on Facebook in the family of truthers, so meeting that has never and still hasn't happened to me locally. I may have never found this truth about the melted brick realm and its disturbing history that took place too long ago, and most of all revealing the marvelous heavenly kingdoms and what I call the old world paradise. After my cognitive dissonance and breakdown following a few months of being told it was all melted brick buildings, I came to the disturbing conclusion on my own while meditating at my local river on these supposed melted brick ruins that were allegedly everywhere. I saw melted brick and debris throughout the river and beyond, leaving me disturbed that this was reality. A year later, I went on to write the first Meltology description published on my TikTok page. I have gone on to do tremendous work in this movement, creating content starting in 2023 with the Meltology and Old World Paradise meme series, knowing memes were the way. One night, the feeling hit me out of nowhere and was very strong to create meme content as if I was meant to do so. But for the first 2 years during the Plantdemic event, I received 30-day bans for those 2 consecutive years while sharing data and testimonies about the ludicrous event. I saved all melted building posts into my Facebook folder during those 2 years and actually enjoyed my time off Facebook for a while. All I was able to do was save posts to my folders. I couldn't like, share, or comment while banned, and I got quite used to it. Now, going on 4 years of saving brick ruins and melted buildings into the folder, there are over 10 images in my folder. My original goal was hoping to unite the originals since they all fell out with each other at the beginning of 2021 and in 2023 after my desire to make memes and get Jerry to try to apologize to Spartan Red and a couple of others, to be the better person, so to speak, and do great things together backfired on me, and that was that. I wrote down the history of it all, including who I am, why the name, Mr. Meltology, and the beef between everyone, as well as the division explained in my Meltology story at the bottom of my TikTok posts. My name is Mr. Meltology. Despite my serious passion for this subject and making memes to plant seeds all over the world, my memes have created Meltologists and content creators, and mostly no one gives any credit to my work, shares it, or posts it, as 99% have done with Jerry DeCamp, the professor of Meltology. Only I and a couple of others give him credit for our awakening journey on this core truth. That is why I wrote that Meltology history page. Some others and I were deeply hurt at the time about the division and fakery amongst Meltologists. Now, another year later, reaching so many and putting Meltology on the map, so to speak, with the genius idea of meme seeds, I still don't get much credit, and all my work is overlooked. Facebook is great half the time, but the other half wants to look down on me and the other top Meltology masters I am grateful to share the spotlight with. We mimic and inspire each other. Truthfully, I have not received $1 or any donation for my work. Selling merchandise, begging for donations, and just selling the truth in general with subscriptions is damage control to the truth and perverts it. A genuine donation is wonderful and justified, and all of us deserve it, but selling the truth here in Meltology will get you exposed. Selling an event that killed billions and left us these ruins is forcing us into a mini Stone Age. The real historical Stone Age is our modern world, sort to speak, of duality and suffering, yet being part of that small part of the timeline where we are at the weakest point, the reset era, and seeing it in real time in the present moment, making this spiritually memorable. They told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. This is why so many remain blind to the true history of this world. We are in a period of discovery like the world has never seen before. No longer are we shown just one approved version of history. We are seeing glimpses of what this realm was and can be. What an amazing time to be alive. We are the true and original Meltologists. We expose the lies and reveal the shilling controlled opposition, pushing every fiction and theory to combat this very disturbing truth of Meltology. Melted brick ruins on every land and, most importantly, the highly advanced one-world paradise that was here not long ago and reigned for eons, exposing the lies of this new world order reset era. Every single narrative and historical date is false.
All right, that was from Desmond Anthony, and me and Shadow were sitting here. We just listened to that, and we're gonna upload it. Please leave a comment. If you're a Meltologist, leave a comment for sure. For those who are unfamiliar with Meltology, please leave a comment and let me know what you think of what Desmond has said. So there it is. A couple of date issues. Maybe the first Meltology documentary came out 2020, but we were talking about this in 2019 and prior a little bit, and there's a little bit of debate. Go on, girl. About some of the discoveries and who was talking to this that tickled Jerry DeCamp's ear. So that's how I discovered Meltology, is inadvertently by having a channel talking about all the Capitol buildings who were already here before America began, red bricks. My channel was called Robert News. It was taken down, no strikes. I went from a couple hundred people to 5,000, and then the next day I had 15,000 subscribers, and my channel was taken away. No strikes. In 2020, it was taken away when they put us all in a room and told us to put your mask on, and while they were busy destroying the red brick past. And they're still destroying the red brick past. You'll see that they're doing construction and taking apart old roads, bridges. They have a bunch of shills in the game trying to give you narratives, and it's all garbage. So stick with the Meltologists in this realm who are trying to tell you the truth, not making a buck. Like Mr. Meltology, myself included. I've never made $1 doing this. But I think that we deserve support, So anyway, support is much needed. I wish I could support you in any way, Mr. Meltology, and I do by uploading stuff and talking about it and sharing this with other people. So that's about it for now. Red bricks to y'all. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. And peace.